Hey everybody, welcome back to Dave and Will's Guitar. If this is your first time joining us, thanks for watching, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks for joining again. Today I wanted to have a little discussion about what I think about guitar as a hobby, and how there's plenty of people out there in the guitar YouTube world, not necessarily YouTubers, but the people commenting about how terrible someone is or their opinion. And you know, it's something that generally doesn't get discussed a whole lot. Sometimes there's YouTubers that like talk about like mean comments they see and stuff. But ultimately, I think the notion there is that we tend to find people that tear each other down. And I find that so funny in our hobby where we're supposed to enjoy. And the first thing I think about when I think about this issue is that it's a hobby and it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's a hobby for like 99% of us. Maybe there's some professional musicians out there, but they're probably not watching my video. And even if they were, it's like, you know, what does a hard opinion mean in the guitar world? I mean, there's plenty of examples of strange things that have happened in the guitar universe where someone's saying like, this can never be like this. And then someone goes on to show the exact opposite and play something awesome. When I think about things like that, I think about Oasis playing most of their music on an Epiphone Riviera. You know, that was not known to be a very expensive quality guitar. It was a fine guitar, but it wasn't some expensive Gibson, and that was the majority of a sound that a lot of people loved. Dolly Parton played a $200 acoustic at the CMA Awards, I believe it was, and people said she sounded great. Is anyone tearing her down? No. And why would they? I mean, she's brought a lot of joy to people. And I think that's what music really is. You know, music should be something you enjoy and something that inspires you to make something great. And really, I think that's what we should be doing, is bringing each other up rather than tearing each other down. And I know that sounds silly and probably a little too touchy-feely, but, you know, there's just so much of it. I remember videos like Brett Scholl's talking about his R9 that he pulled the pickups out or put other pickups in and modded a little bit because he didn't like he didn't like the things that were in there as much as the modifications he did. You know, the YouTube world went crazy over this. Like, how could this man do this? And honestly, I think he did it partly because it's going to make a great video because people are going to get upset. But why do we do that to ourselves, you know? Why do we have these crazy opinions about what he's doing with his finances? You know, he's laughing all the way to the bank. He's like, man, I cashed a big check because people were mad at my guitar. And I find that so funny. You know, what a weird way to spend your hobby and time and your mental energy worrying about someone else's guitar. I think the most exciting part of guitar is when someone takes a guitar, does something interesting with it, and makes a great song, a great sound, or interesting mods. That's what I really love about this hobby. You know, there's so much opportunity for novelty and creativity, and then there's another camp of thought that is like, if guitar doesn't fit in this box, it is not what guitar should be. It shouldn't be, you know, this or that. It has to be this wood or this pickup or this sound. And the answer is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And if you look back throughout the history of modern music, certainly more recent modern music, and even as far as back in the 80s, there's examples of people playing what would be considered a subpar guitar and making classics. Guns N' Roses, Slash, he played on a knockoff Gibson. You know, and like I said, Oasis played on an Epiphone Riviera. I mean, Kurt Cobain played on guitars that he could afford that were generally considered cheap. I mean, if you try to go buy a High Flyer right now, something that Kurt Cobain used that was generally considered a piss poor instrument, you're going to pay a crazy amount of money because people love that tone. There's no such thing as a necessarily bad sounding guitar. There's a guitar that sounds like something that you might not like or might not want to use, but someone will find a use for it. There's someone out there who could probably even write a hit with that guitar. Given enough time, money, and effort, you know, or even not even money, just time and effort, really. It's certainly harder than it was. It's harder now than it was before, but you know, that's neither here nor there. It's just an interesting way of thinking, and I cannot stress how important it is to appreciate the instrument and appreciate one another because we share this hobby, right? That's really what we're here for. You know, regardless of whether someone's playing a cheap guitar or an expensive guitar, there's always an opportunity for the next musician to really showcase what they can do with it and provide joy to someone else. So why do we take these hard opinions? Why do we do this? I couldn't tell you. It seems to be we live in a world where there's more animosity and aggression towards one another than ever before. I mean, we spend our whole days working or going to school or, whatever, and then, the political system, it doesn't matter. You can be in any country and I could say, the political system, what are your thoughts? People are going to be like, I don't like it. And, if you want to really bring that to guitar, make a song about it. That's what people will appreciate. Not necessarily your opinion on how politics should be concerning whatever. Fill in the blank. There's an exhaustive amount of information about what people complain about regarding guitar. If anything, guitars are now in a place that they're better than they've ever been. It's very easy to get a nice, cheaper, affordable guitar that plays great and sounds great. I've made a lot of my hobby has been taking guitars that were on the cheaper side and making them into something that I find interesting and good, in my opinion. But what does my opinion matter? Well, very little. It doesn't matter a whole lot at all. But ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is, like, let's just be kind to one another. Why don't we do that? Why don't we take a little time and promote, music with one another? And maybe the person you're talking to, maybe they don't become the next great guitarist, but they might influence the next person, someone else, to become a great guitarist, and maybe they make the next great album, and you listen to a song of theirs and you love it. I mean, who knows? I recently came across this idea called blackstrat theory, and the adage here was that if someone plays a blackstrat, they're probably playing poor Nirvana riffs in their basement and they're not very good, and they never practice. And I couldn't find that more funny, because if I think about what I identify a blackstrat with, like David Gilmour or Eric Clapton, not bad guitarists, I think, in the general sense of, the quality of guitars that have come across throughout the last, 50, 60 years. Those are iconic guitarists that have influenced a lot of what we understand music as today. And even if you don't like those two guitarists, and I'm not saying I'm the hugest fan, I don't listen to their music all the time, but they probably influenced a band you like, and that's really how music works. It's not the direct relationship you have with the immediate person in front of you, but it's kind of like a trickle down effect, right? Or some sort of wave pattern that, like, it ripples out and it influences other people to get interested in the instrument. And that's only better for us. It's only better that we promote guitar to one another, because it means there's more guitars in the world. If more people are playing instruments, then there's more chances for better music to come out. There's more guitars on the market. More guitars on the market means cheaper guitars generally. We're kind of experiencing that right now. If you're a buyer, it's great. Fender put out that article probably a year or two ago, where they're like 90% of guitarists quit in the first year. And if you think about that, if you're a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor and you buy a guitar and you hate it and then you sell it, well, that's someone else's new used guitar, and it's probably great, especially if they're buying like an expensive Gibson or PRS or whatever. People with money that can go do those things. That's an awesome experience. So let them have that. Let people have enjoyment with their instrument. I find it interesting, and that's really what I wanted to get at. Is there's always room for a more wholesome experience in this community, and maybe we should just be a little kinder to one another. And I hope that resonates with someone out there, because it resonates with me. It matters to me. There's plenty of negativity in the world, and we don't need any more of it in this venue. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was kind of a little all over the place, but it means a lot that I think we take care of one another and promote music over dissuading one another from playing our instruments. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day and take care, and hope to see you on the next one. Thanks again.